Okay, so as I mentioned, we are still waiting for a couple people to join, but since we only have a short amount of time together, I do want to get started. We do encourage you to put on your video during our session today so that we can see all of your faces throughout the conversation. But again, that's totally up to you, but definitely encouraged. To introduce myself, my name is Becca, and I am a specialized program consultant at Unite ILS. I specialize in connecting families with our programs and linking them with our team of wonderful home coaches who are all here today. And I want to just start off by thanking you all so much for being here and for your interest in our programs. We'll be going over a ton of content today about our programs, as well as some great back to school strategies and how our programs can help ease the transition back to school this fall, which I know is top of mind for all of you. So I also want to thank everyone who submitted a discussion question during registration. We'll have some time toward the end to go over these questions as well as a live Q&A. And if you do have any questions throughout the panel, please do write them in the chat box, and we will go through as many as we have time for at the end of our time together. We will also be announcing the details of our special back to school offer at the end of the panel, so be sure to stick around for that. And then there will be a raffle for a free DreamPad pillow for an attendee who stays until the end. So that's very exciting. Stay tuned for that. So to begin, I again am joined by Cindy Dawkins, Sharon Cacciato, and Kelly Bynes, who make up our absolutely exceptional team of home coaches. I'd love to just start off by taking a few minutes to go around and have all of you introduce yourselves. Please, if you could, share your name, your professional experience, how long you've been involved on the Unite ILS team, and then something non-work related. So let's say a way that you like to spend your time when you're not working. Okay, Cindy, would you like to go first?
I'm Dawkins. I am an occupational therapist. I've been an OT for 40 years, and my journey with ILS started about 12 years ago. I began using the Unite ILS systems as an OT practitioner in a clinic-based setting, and I began training associates who were interested in being certified as a focused provider, and I began home coaching. So it's been a number of years that I've been with ILS, and I've had gosh, so many such great experiences. You know, I'm a parent to 3 beautiful daughters, and I'm a grandparent to 5 beautiful granddaughters. We have got girls everywhere at our house. It's wonderful. But it's given me such a huge appreciation for having support systems, you know, in place, a professional that can give guidance, can give advice, that can give counsel. You know, we work with so many families with children with emotional dysregulation and anxiety and depression and learning differences. And I just really feel like families should not have to do it alone. So it's such a privilege to be a part of an organization that is looking at a holistic treatment that can be done in the home by supervising families. And it's been a wonderful journey for me. It's something that I count as quite a privilege in my life. I think probably one of the most motivating things for me is hearing and telling the success stories. It provides such great incentive for me to keep, you know, doing what I do and being a part of these families. So what I do when I'm not coaching families, drinking wonderful coffee, reading books, walking on the beach, gardening, like those are my happy places.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cindy, for sharing. So happy you're here. Kelly, would you like to go next?
Sure. That's tough to top.
Oh,
I'm really an occupational therapist as well, and I've been an OT for 26 years now, specializing in sensory processing. And I began using Unite ILS products probably 11 years ago. And I was an associate for many years and used all of the products in my practice and in my group clinic. And recently, I'm probably the newest member to the home program team, but joined last year, and have loved every minute of it. It's been a really nice transition for me to be working with families remotely this way. I think, COVID brought a lot of anxiety for a lot of people, myself included, and it was a treat to be able to dive into this work and still supporting families in this way when I couldn't be face to face with them. So now I actually love it and think it's a great model that allows us to bring these services to people all over the world. So I'm loving that part. One thing that I do to manage my own stress when I'm not working is walking. I just love walking, and like Cindy, adore my morning coffee. And just connection with friends. Anytime I can connect with friends, that brings my stress level down.
Thank you, Kelly, so much. Sharon?
Yeah, so thank you for doing this, Becca. I just want to say thanks because I think it's awesome that we're having this back to school webinar so people can find out some new tips and hints on how to help their kids transition during these crazy times. So I have been working with ILS and Unite since 2011. And prior to that, I actually worked with families and kids in the foster care and adoption realm for 18 years. And I have my master's in clinical counseling. After that 18 years, I had kids right before, let's see, it would have been about 20 years ago, sorry, forgetting my age of my oldest. And so in that process of having my oldest, I realized she had some special things going on that was just made her different and clicked differently. And so I searched kind of all over for other opportunities to help her and ended up finding ILS at that point it was, and have loved being able to find that there are other therapies out there that are different than talk therapy and not necessarily always the med route. It's all natural holistic therapy that can really be helpful for a lot of people. And so I joined ILS back in 2011 and then began doing coaching about 8 years ago, seven years ago, and have loved being able to coach directly with families and just being able to kind of guide them through their process, but also learning from them, because I feel like I learn more from my families than I give to them probably. And it's something that keeps me inspired to kind of keep on giving that knowledge out that I learned from each of you. And something I love to do. Well, I have 2 daughters and I love spending time with them. My oldest is an artist, and she's in college right now. And just being able to spend time with her and watch her create is an amazing thing. And then my youngest, who is 17, a senior in high school, so it's kind of a crazy year for us, but she's a competitive volleyball player and I love watching her play volleyball. And so spending time with them and reading is my thing. Those are my 2 things.
nice.
Thank you, Sharon. And thank you again all for being here. It's such a treat to be able to have a conversation with the team of you. So thank you so much. And welcome to the last few folks who just joined us. Before we launch into the next portion of our conversation about school readiness and back to school strategies, I just want to take a few moments to give a brief description of the two programs that we'll be talking about throughout our session today, just to provide some context and foundation going into the rest of our conversation. So the first program that we'll talk about is the Safe and Sound Protocol, or the SSP. And this is a therapeutic listening strategy that uses specifically filtered music to help facilitate a shift in the nervous system out of an overactivated, hypervigilant state and back to a more grounded and safe state. So with the SSP, we can see huge gains in areas like sensory sensitivities, emotional and behavioral regulation, anxiety, social functioning, and much more. I'm going to just put a link in the chat to our SSP page of our website. So if you do want to pull that up or have that as for your reference later on, the link is in that chat. The second program that we'll be talking about is the Focus System. And the Focus System really takes the work set in motion by the SSP one step further and uses multisensory input to help improve the organization and the communication between the brain and the body. So this can help on the cognitive side in areas like attention, focus, memory, information processing, as well as on the physical side in areas like motor skills, balance, posture, and coordination. I'll post the link to our Focus page as well on the chat, so do explore that for more information. Many of our users do both the SSP and the Focus, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about that bundle later. So we're going to start with some general topics regarding the Shift Back to School and the Unite Home program, again, to help provide a foundation for the rest of our conversation. So this is going to be in a roundtable format. So we'll pose a question. All of our wonderful home coaches will have some time to answer each one. And yeah, looking forward to a good dialogue on these topics. So to begin, I'd like to start talking about some anxieties or roadblocks that you all have been hearing from families about going back to school. And specifically, if you can share what makes this year different. Of course, going back to school can always be stressful, but this year we're dealing with some particular situations. So Kelly, I'll pose this question to you first. Anything you'd like to share on that topic?
Yeah, definitely. You know, when I think of and hear from families about back to school, it's often around transitions. Thinking about new school, new teacher, new routine. Those things aren't different this year. But what's different is the anticipation of the new, because things have been the same at home for a chunk of time. And often for a lot of the kids that I'm working with, being home was easier than being at school. And so that's the reason that we're doing SSP or Focus, is to get them ready to go back or to get them ready to function better than they did. And so there's anxiety around that transition with getting used to something, again, that was hard, but also just the regular transition. I also hear from parents skill-based challenges like toileting issues. They're afraid, you know, or getting dressed, like a child not being able to wear regular clothes going back to school, or I'm hearing from people not being able to use the bathroom there. So parents are concerned that they won't go to the bathroom all day at school. Those are some scenarios that have come up. And then, you know, as far as that difference goes, I'm hearing more anxiety from parents versus just parents thinking the child has anxiety. You know, because parents have been managing a lot over the last year and a half, 2 years. Parents manage a lot to begin with, let alone in the midst of a pandemic. And so I think that there's more anxiety this year than there is in prior years. At least that's what I'm hearing from families. I don't know. I see Sharon nodding. You see this?
Yeah. So yeah, I having a daughter that's a senior in high school, I will say, she is very nervous, but I'm nervous for her because she wants her senior year to kind of be the best, and it's unknown at this point. So I think, both parents and kids have that anxiety of just how is this year going to be in general, and is it going to be a lot of so in our school district, we had a lot of back and forth last year, homeschool, and I think, parents have so much, like you said, Cindy, to manage that I think that anxiety just is kind of there on how their schedule is going to look throughout the year, and what's going to be expected of them if, kids have to come back home for a little while, back and forth. So I do think there's quite a bit on people's minds. So I hear that quite a bit, but I also feel it myself. So, and Cindy, what about you?
Yeah. We have so many children who struggle so much with picking up on social cues. So their parents have coached them so much over the past 18 months on, how to stay 6 feet away, how to use the sanitizer, how, reminding them over and over and over to wear the mask. And I think there's that anticipation with the kids going back into school. Is it going to be safe for me? How do I know that, I'm not going to get sick, because they still look at COVID as the end of the world. And there's this huge fear-based theology around it. And it's talked about constantly in the media and in the news and among the parents too. So it really heightens their anxiety so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you bring up that social piece. Kids that struggle with social cues and just social function in general, I'm also thinking of kids that haven't struggled previously, might struggle now, and young kids. I'm hearing from some parents of really young children, they haven't been around other children very much at all for a chunk of their life. If they would have started pre-K or kindergarten last year and didn't, then this might be the first time that really younger children are going to be around a group of other children at that level. So there's all social concerns that way.
Yeah, I definitely feel like in the classroom, amongst some of the families that I've worked with, they've said that when their kids did have the opportunity at the very end of the school year last year to go back, a lot of them said their friends didn't even know how to talk to each other. And so it's really about trying to prep those kids, their own kids, for what that might look like and how to broach, subjects on talking to them, even older kids, because I feel like, sometimes they get left out. We always teach younger ones how to do this, and especially if they haven't been in the school setting yet. But I do feel like that's a huge gap, a year and a half of not being able to kind of interact with others on a regular basis and saying, hi, how was your night last night? Did you do anything? Things like that, just to kind of bring up new subjects, new topics, and really learn how to communicate again, face to face.
Absolutely. Those are all such great points. There's no doubt that this transition back to school this year brings some unique challenges and anxieties, which leads really nicely into our next question, which is, what are some general strategies, general techniques that you have found helpful in working with families? Cindy, I'll pose this one to you first. I know you have a lot of tricks up your sleeve, and whether that's breathing exercises, certain conversations the night before, what are some general strategies that can help with those anxieties?
I think the one thing that helps both with the parents and the children is to go to the school as much as they can and really make it a frequent thing where they can actually practice where the bus is going to take them, where the parents are going to drop them off, and obviously meet the teacher if you can, open up to the school online community so that you can be familiar with other parents and other other families, so that the child knows that you're also reaching out and being a part of their new world. But I think touring the school is so, so important. Kelly mentioned how so many children are, they're afraid already of toilets flushing, but not knowing where the bathrooms are is a real fear struggle for some of our kids. So taking them, showing them where's the cafeteria, the library, the gym, the music room, the art room, where's the office, where's the school counselor, where are, even if you don't know where the classroom is, which so many of them don't yet know who the teacher is going to be or what the classroom is, going to the school, even drawing a map of the school for those kids that have a little bit more rigidity and need to know a lot of information in the before it happens, giving them that foundation of security, of knowing the layout of the land, I think is really important. Those, conversations at nighttime, it was fun because I've been able to, since we knew this was coming up, I had conversations with my grandchildren and also my daughters. And I asked, what were some things that helped? And it was cute because they said, laying in bed in the dark and talking about the things that I'm afraid of, the things that I'm anxious about, where I don't have to look at someone's face and no one's gauging my response. Or even the other thing that we used to do a lot was ride in the car in the dark. Like, we could have such great conversations and cover so much authentic, fears, and just great conversations that really gave so much more expression than having a dinner time conversation where someone's looking in their face and, processing, talking about, oh, what's it going to be like tomorrow? What's going to be new? What's our new schedule? What are you going to do? And even for the little ones who have the separation anxiety, telling them what you're going to be doing while they're at school, so that they can kind of have a sense of predictability of, I'm going to go to the grocery store. What do you want me to get for you while I'm at the grocery store? While you're at school, this is what I'm going to do. Just a sense of kind of getting them grounded for the new changes and the fact that they're going to be separated from their mom. What are some other ideas, guys?
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead, Kelly.
So that to me leads immediately into routine. And when routines are changing, it doesn't mean everything has to change. So finding a couple of things that you can keep consistent to anchor the day, whether it's the same breakfast cereal that they've been eating all summer, or it's, family dinner, or if it's playing at the park, or even for teens, it's, maybe a weekend activity they can look forward to, or, just keep something consistent, kind of emphasizing that sameness at home can help with some of that transition. And I also think parents setting themselves up for success in those routines, whatever parents can do to support themselves in making things manageable, easier said than done. I know that. But when you're setting up a routine, it isn't just about what the child needs. It's, if the parent needs to get up 15, 30 minutes earlier, 2 hours earlier to have that coffee and wake up slowly so that they're ready when the child gets up, then I encourage people to do that.
Yeah, I think that's great. I was just going to give some real life strategies for breathing, because I noticed that with my own daughter, when she was at her most nervous points for whatever reason, her breathing became really shallow, and the more our brain lacks oxygen, the more nervous we get. And so I have learned a couple techniques that can really help if you can do them when they're not in the midst of being so panicky or anxious, maybe right before, if you think they're going to get worked up. Some deep breathing, that if you picture your stomach as a balloon and you literally are blowing air into that balloon when you inhale. And then you picture that balloon deflating as you slowly exhale. And this should typically, we recommend being done through your nose. So keeping your mouth closed, and just do it breathing in slowly and very slowly out as well, all through your nose. That oxygen really just provides the brain the stability it needs to kind of say, we need to slow things down here. And so that's a really good technique when they're in the, right before they're getting worked up, things like that. One quick one as well is what we call lemon squeezies. And we just go through the muscle groups in the body, but I like to think of the hands and just kind of ball them up, and it kind of releases that excess energy in the body, and you can go through the muscle groups that way. So those are two easy techniques.
Those are all so great. Yeah, it's amazing what just taking a few minutes, maybe the night before, or like you said, Cindy, going to the school. And I was reminded when you were talking, Cindy, one of the techniques you mentioned on your list was having your child set a pickup alarm on the parent's phone, so that there's very clear expectations set. Mom or dad is going to be there to pick you up, and something like that takes 30 seconds and can just make a world of difference.
Right. I had one of my daughters who was always afraid of being forgotten and left at school. So a tool, knowing that she has set the alarm on my phone at 2:30 to be ready to pick her up, I think would have given her a lot of comfort. I wanted to tell you too, one of my favorite tools with my little kiddos, my preschoolers, there's an app by Sesame Street called Breathe, Think and Do. It's interactive. You can choose the setting, whether it's about getting dressed or sharing toys or being left by your parent. And it takes the kids through breathing exercises. Breathing for my toddlers is so difficult to teach. And this tool kind of helps them. They get to pop balloons as they're thinking of strategies. It's a nice little interactive app.
That's so cool,
That
Cindy.
sounds wonderful.
That's awesome.
I use that one all the time, Cindy. Yeah, that's great.
It's so cute.
I throw out one other quick strategy is making lists. List making, you can make simple short lists with young children, with the parent doing the writing, but it slows down their thought process and it lets them kind of brain dump. And then there's a concrete visual cue for either things that need to get done or things that will be happening, whatever the trigger for the anxiety is. Making a list of those things can be both a kind of therapeutic process doing it, but then it also becomes a coping skill. And the visual system is one of the strongest sensory systems of the body. And so having that visual to remind them and or to comfort them as a way to get through the day can be really helpful.
I love that, Kelly. It's so easy for our little ones to have all their anxieties swirling around their heads, and to get it down on paper, and that concrete act of putting it down on a piece of paper, as well as maybe looking at it once it's outside of the imagination, and having a conversation with the parent. Okay, so what if this did happen? What would your response be? And working through maybe some hypothetical situations, I can see would be really helpful. So that's a great idea. So we've talked a little bit about some general strategies. As we move toward talking about our program specifically, I'll kick this one off to you first, Sharon. How do you use the SSP and the focus to help with school readiness and creating that feeling of preparation, regulation, calm, and specifically, how do the SSP and focus work well together? We talked about each of them a little bit, gave a short description at the beginning of this meeting, but how do you see them complementing each other, and how do you use them together when working with families?
Sure. Yeah. So the SSP is an amazing tool for back to school. If you could consider, all that's going on right now in the world and having your nervous system just kind of settled, it provides a gateway to learning. And so the SSP, I feel, is critical for providing that calming of the nervous system so that kids can attend to socializing. They can attend to learning. They can attend to having fun versus just sitting, on the bench and not wanting to participate because they're worried about things. So the SSP is something that I really feel strongly is a key to kind of helping kids and families in general with getting going with the school year. The Focus program is really a nice program to dovetail with the SSP. I will warn families, it's a much longer journey. It is working on the brain versus the nervous system. And so when we work on the brain, it does take longer to kind of make those changes and make them permanent. So with the Focus program, it has a calming program, which is perfect to kind of start the school year off with. And it also has a sensory and motor program, which I think for littles is an amazing program to just kind of give them more grounding and kind of give them some more sense of where they are in space and time, which helps in so many areas in, just starting off their educational career. That sounds so formal, but yeah, that's kind of how I feel like that sensory and motor program is an amazing program. So how about you, Kelly? How do you?
I kind of think of the two similar to what you've described with the nervous system piece and the SSP. I think of the SSP as down regulating the nervous system. And so it's about regulation, and it's definitely more passive. So when kids are doing it, they're not as active. They're just relaxing, doing quiet play kinds of activities. And even for our busier kids, it's okay to do sit down quiet play, using their hands, building blocks, Play-Doh, that kind of stuff. So I use that when there's a regulation challenge, and anxiety certainly is indicative of nervous system dysregulation. And then I consider the Focus as skill building. So you mentioned Focus for brain. It's kind of, we build skills through using our brains and our bodies together, but it is about changing how the brain is processing that information. Mm-hmm. So I use that when there's a skill challenge. And I have found that a lot of kids with learning challenges, even, older kids that have learning challenges can still benefit from that sensory motor program. And so when I think of academics and school, I do often think of the Focus program because it provides a foundation or foundation building intervention to support higher level functions like executive functions and academic learning.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. I think one of the things that I love about the way that we're doing the SSP are having those 3 phases. And I look at those phases as kind of a work in progress. So we've got, the Connect program that I kind of look at as a warm-up exercise. We've got the core. I look at that as that heavy therapeutic work. I look at the balance as kind of being a cool down kind of activity to kind of shore in all of those gains with, calming down that nervous system. I found that, parents doing the SSP along with their kids is such a great match. I've got one family I'm working with, the mom, the dad, the child, and both of the grandparents are all doing the SSP program together because they're so invested in helping this child prepare for school and wanting to understand how they can be the best kind of co-regulators to facilitate that. So it's a beautiful piece, and following, like you guys have said so eloquently, following with that Focus program really allows us to hone in on all of those academic challenges that the parents are now having such huge light bulbs of, oh, this is what the problems are in school. I never saw it when they were gone, but now that they've been home, I've got a really clear shot at, oh, okay, it's handwriting, or it's math facts, or it's word problems. And so we can tailor a program to really hone in on those areas that have the biggest concern for the parents. So it's a beautiful match, the two, peanut butter and jelly.
For sure. That's a good way to put it, Cindy. I was going to mention real quickly. So a lot of people hear the name, the Focus program, and think it's just for kids that maybe have ADHD or things like that. We have 2 other programs besides the rest of them. I mean, there's 6 programs, but there's a reading and auditory processing that for most kids that have reading issues and or auditory processing issues is an amazing program. So I always like to get that in because I know the name itself kind of closes down what people imagine it might help with. And so I just wanted to kind of get that out there. There's also an optimal performance program for older kids that we use, although I've started even using it with younger ones. I don't know about you guys, but that really can help just kind of keep everyone's, like on the edge of their seat. They know kind of how they're going to create their day, and it's it really just helps even for adults and parents as well, to kind of keep them going. So it takes away that brain fog. In fact, I need it right now.
Thanks for bringing that part up, Sharon. That reading and auditory processing, of course, as we're talking about school readiness, is so well tied in with school skills and classroom skills. So that's a really important piece, that it's not just focus and attention. Those are 2 big elements of the focus system, but many different programs within the focus. And that's why we have each family work one-on-one with one of you, because you do such a wonderful job of customizing the program to fit each child's needs, and really personalizing the journey so that it fits the child's needs and the parents' goals for the children. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And then Cindy, I'm also glad you mentioned the family all getting involved, because we have so many families we work with who start with the programs with one of their kiddos, and then everyone else in the family is kind of like, oh, what is this all about? Maybe I would like to get involved too. And it becomes a family-wide program, and we do offer the bundle of the 2 for 2 to 4 users, so the whole family can get involved as a support for the one child that they start with, or as a nice reset for all of the family members, because we could certainly all use a nervous system reset after everything going on in the last year and a half or so. So thank you for all of that incredible information. I hope that has all been useful for all of the attendees. I'm sure it has. As we move into our submitted question portion of our program, I just want to thank everyone who did submit questions during registration. We are sticking to more general questions here, so if we don't get to your question that you submitted, feel free to put it into the chat box, and we'll hopefully get to as many of those as possible during the live Q&A. So to start off, home coaches, we get a lot of questions about what exactly the home coaching element is in doing a Unite Home program, and how involved the home coach is, what that customization looks like, the timing of the sessions. So I will just pose this to the whole group. Whoever would like to jump in, please do so. Can you just give us a little bit more information about the role of the home coach, and how you really facilitate the program throughout the journey?
Cindy, you want to start?
That's right.
That's what I was going to say.
I will. So traditionally, we receive an email that you have decided to pursue the program. We typically send out an email, usually within 1 to 2 business days, that has information about what our role is, information about the program, and some attached intake forms. So what we ask the families to do is to complete the intake forms and send them back to us as soon as possible. And as soon as that occurs, we set up a chat. So our chats, sometimes they're phone calls, but we really prefer those video conferences so that we can meet face to face. It's much more of a polyvagal friendly response on our part. We get to see you, and I love to meet the children that we're going to be working with. It gives us an opportunity to tell you what our recommendations are on the program. We help you with knowing how to navigate the equipment, and we get you started as soon as possible. The nice thing about that is it's tailor-made for each family. Some families want a lot of facilitation. They want a lot of check-ins. They're unsure. They want to know that they're doing it right. They want to make sure they're not going to mess anything up. Other families have studied the polyvagal theory and the focus program and the SSP program with intensity, and they come very well apprised of the process. And so they just want to know that someone's going to be checking in with them. Typically, when someone's going to be doing the 3 phases of the SSP program, we'll check in for sure in between those programs, but most of my clients are emailing me throughout the entire SSP process so that I'm giving feedback. I'm telling them you're doing it great, or let's reduce the amount of listening that you're doing, or maybe you need a rest day here. It's nice to know that you've got a professional that you can connect with if your child is having like ear infections, or if there's some kind of a crisis that's going on in the home, how to modify that program so that the child is not overwhelmed. So really the process is so unique. It works individually with each family, but each time I end a call, I've always got the next time that we're going to be talking again set up, so there's not an unknown. They don't feel like they're hanging off of a cliff. They know when the next check-in, but they also know that I'm always available via email to answer any questions or touch base with them. So what works for you guys?
You did a wonderful job. Kelly, you have anything to add?
The only 2 things that I'll add are that, one, I'm using a video sharing platform. So occasionally I'll have families upload videos of a session so that I can actually see what's happening. I do that certainly if there are challenges during the session, but also just to kind of modify or make suggestions for modifying the activities. There are often times when parents aren't sure if they're doing something right or how to adjust an activity to make it easier or harder, specifically during the focus program. And even during the SSP, where the goal is connection and nurturing and support, there's still some interactions where parents are unsure. And often parents and kids have struggled for a long time by the time they find us. And so it's an opportunity for me to coach in real time, even if I'm not there in the session. And so that's helpful. And I would say that my role kind of changes not just based on the family, but based on where we are in the program. Mm-hmm. Initially there's a lot of information sharing and education and logistical discussions. But as people settle into the program and as parents start feeling more comfortable being the primary play partner or facilitator, then I become kind of a brainstormer with them, or as you say, Cindy, a resource to check in with. And then I told a family this morning, I said, my job is going to become to keep you accountable. So I let them know up front that, I need to hear from you. And if I don't, I'm going to stay on you, kind of thing. So I keep things moving along. So yeah, those are some differences.
Yeah, I love the way you talk about the journey, kind of, Cindy, that it does change that role a little bit. So for me with the SSP, I feel like it's kind of an intense time to work closely with the parents and kind of help them, guide them so that it's the least bumpy road possible. And when Cindy was talking about cutting back on listening time earlier, the reason we may cut back is sometimes there are some temporary negative things that show up and you're like, why am I paying for a therapy that is giving me negatives? The thing is the SSP is resetting our whole nervous system. And in that process, it can look like kind of cleaning out a really messy closet that looks messier before it looks cleaner. And so our roles, or at least mine, I feel like as a coach, is to help in that process, kind of make sure it's not as bumpy as it could be, and just kind of guide you through that. And then once we get to the focus, it's really about just kind of teaching you about the focus program and how it fits best in your lifestyle, things like that, because that's a huge key for a lot of people, is how will this fit in our schedule and everything like that. I think we're going to talk more a little bit about that. But also then after they've learned about it, then, it really is that resource, just kind of, hey, this is what's going on. What do I do? Or your goals may change throughout the focus program, and we kind of can dovetail or create a new path to, get them going with that new goal. So.
And to know what's okay to shift, right? Like with those new goals, to validate, that's totally fine. We can adjust.
Yep, for sure. And one thing, I'm so sorry. Those temporary changes like those negatives are temporary, just so everybody knows. Typically they last even maybe just the day, or, sometimes up to a week to 2 weeks after the therapy, the SSP. But then we start getting to the good stuff. So just so everybody knows.
Thanks for mentioning that, Sharon. I love your closet analogy. I'm definitely going to borrow that and use that on calls. And yeah, it's, as you all have mentioned, it's one of the reasons that we have families work with one of you, so that you are just a great resource for them and can make any necessary adjustments, really titrate the facilitation, whether that's shorter listening time or longer intervals between the listening sessions. Everybody's different. Every nervous system is different. And that's one of the beautiful things about our programs, is that they are so customizable. On the topic of being customizable, and Sharon, you mentioned this, the timing element, right? So we are fully aware that many of our families are in the busiest time of the year right now, with vacation and being out of town, getting ready to go back to school. So I'd like to just spend a couple moments talking about timing of the sessions, specifically that the home program is facilitated remotely. So if we could just spend a little bit of time talking about what that remote facilitation looks like, and how the sessions can be built into a busy summer or fall schedule.
I can address that first, because I just spoke with a family about that. One of the biggest adjustments that I help families make is looking at like setting up a weekly schedule that's going to be sustainable. Sometimes we'll do shorter sessions during the week and then longer sessions on the weekend. And talking with the family about who else can be involved in the session, if it's the focus program, and sometimes even the SSP. If it's predictable and if it's set up well enough with the family, then it doesn't have to be the same person every time, depending on the goals and the needs that that child has. So really trying to brainstorm with them, when to have the session, how long to have those sessions, when to do them during the week, and who does them. Those are some of the ways that we shift. And then the other kind of scheduling piece is that sometimes we can choose activities that the child is doing anyway. And it doesn't mean we just put the headset on and leave them to go. But if there's a way to incorporate a listening session around an activity that's happening, let's say the child comes home from school and they play out in the backyard. Well, if that's playtime and they need that time when they get home, how can we use that time a little more therapeutically to include it in one of the sessions? Those are some things that I've tried.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. I found the same thing. I think what you said was so important. Finding a system that's sustainable. So sometimes that means that as a coach, we're going to have a conversation with the parents about what their daily schedule looks like. So we can try to find little pockets. Like, it doesn't have to be a 30-minute session. It might be 15 minutes here. It might be 15 minutes there. It might be that, we can put in a 60-minute session, like you said, on a Saturday and a Sunday, and get the recommended number of hours in a week, so that they can really begin to see the changes that they need. But understanding and appreciating that family's culture, I think, it's given me so much insight and so much personal instruction on caring for families well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's perfect. That was actually what I was going to say, Cindy. So I'm not going to add anything. you guys did an awesome job.
Thank you all. That's so helpful to know what the timing looks like and how even our busiest families can really to make this work within their schedules. So thanks for all that great information. This hour has absolutely flown by. Thank you again for all that great insight. We did have one question come through on the chat about the Sesame Street app, and our lovely Courtney Scott, who is also part of the Unite ILS team. She helps a good amount on the home program and does some great work in many different areas in our company. She did answer that. So it is the Breathe, Think, Do app on Sesame Street. Thank you, Courtney, for chiming in there. In our last 5 minutes, I want to talk about some of the details about our back to school special offer. Thank you all for sticking through till the end. We'll do the DreamPad raffle in just a moment, but to begin this section, I'd just like to mention that we are offering, starting today through Friday, September 10th, 1 month off of a 12-month SSP Focus subscription bundle. So that is a savings of up to $375, depending on if you go with the one user plan or get the whole family involved. And that special offer includes access to the SSP digitally, a full set of Focus equipment, matching one-on-one with a dedicated home coach, and that customization of the program that we've been talking about to fit your child's needs and your goals for them. You will all be receiving an email today with more details about the promotion, so be sure to check your inbox. You'll also be receiving a recording of today's panel, so you can look back on the recording for any information that you're looking for we talked about today. And that email will also have a link to book a follow-up call with either myself or Sharon to learn more about our programs and how they can really be personalized to fit your family. I'll also mention that we are offering 10% off the buyout bundle, which means one payment upfront. So if you are interested in the buyout, be sure to mention that either in our phone call or email communication, and we will be happy to give you some more information regarding the bundle buyout. Okay, home coaches, anything you'd like to add before we do our DreamPad raffle?
So I was just going to answer Kathy's question about being able to take a break.
Oh, yeah.
In between the SSP and the Focus, and we actually do recommend taking at least a short break in between to kind of give your body a chance to reset and stabilize before jumping into the Focus program. So that might look like a week to 2 weeks, but by all means, if you are thinking of a longer break, you just talk to your coach about what that might look like. It's definitely a possibility, Kathy. Yep.
Thank you, Sharon, so much.
Yeah.
And if we didn't get to your question, or if you do have any other follow-up questions, please do let us know. I'm going to put my email here in the chat. Again, my name is Becca. I am more than happy to continue the conversation about our programs and answer any other questions that you may have. So feel free to reach out and we can communicate over email or schedule a call, whatever you would prefer. Okay, so here we go. Thank you again for staying until the end. Today's lucky winner is getting a DreamPad pillow, which is designed to help your family fall asleep faster, stay asleep, and wake up feeling rested. Especially useful, of course, as we transition back to school. So, can we get a drum roll? Okay, today's winner is Mina with the DreamPad. Congratulations.
Oh,
Amazing. That's amazing. This is the first. Thank you so much.
Of course. Congrats. Mina, I'll email you today with more details about collecting your prize. Congratulations.
Wow, it's my lucky day today. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm also going to just put a link to the DreamPad page in the chat. So if you do want to learn more about the DreamPad, you can follow that link.
I have young clients that call it the magic pillow.
Ooh, I
Yep.
love that. Very nice. All right, everyone. Well, we are just about out of town. I want to, again, extend so much gratitude to you, Sharon, Cindy, and Kelly for being here and taking the time to talk through our home program, answer some questions from our families. Really appreciate you being here. And thank you to all of you who have participated and stuck it out till the end. Our team is here to answer any questions that you have. We'd love to hop on the phone with you or start communicating via email. So please do reach out, and you can expect that follow-up email with the recording and some more information about the special offer in your inbox later today.
Thank you
Thank you,
creating-
Becca.
Thank you.
Becca. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you for creating a community and being so welcoming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mina. All right, everyone. You take care. Have a
Bye.
great weekend. Thanks so
Bye.
much.